What's up, everybody? Welcome to another video. My name is David. This is Lessons from Prison with Dave. Thank you for joining me, man. Now, before I begin, let me let everybody know to please like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us grow, man. Now, with that said, let me jump into the video. Alright, today's video is gonna be, just like the title says, about a prison riot. But it was a prison riot caused by wrestling. Yes, wrestling. WWF. Well, it was WWF back then, WWE now. But something as, as insignificant as a wrestling show actually caused a full-scale prison riot, man. Now, before I get in with the story, let me tell you guys this, man. One thing that you guys have to understand about prison, man, and I want to make something very clear first, is that you have to understand what type of people are in prison. Before I can move ahead with the story, and before I can speak on other stories that I have, is you have to understand the mentality of the prisoners. First of all, you get the worst people from society, liars, thieves, murderers, all of the sociopaths, psychopaths, they're all in there, and that's first and foremost. That's something that you guys have to understand. It's not for the weak of heart. If I see this a lot, a lot of guys get caught up, guys who are, really good kids, good people, who happen to make a mistake and they get caught up, they get thrown in there and they get chewed up and spit out, and it happens all the time, and whenever you're around all these type of people and these, alpha male mentalities, you have to be ready to roll with the punches. There can be no hesitate, you can't hesitate on anything, because if you do, you may become prey, and that's the first thing that I want to let you guys know. It's not a walk in the park. It's not. We don't go there for singing in the church choir or for giving our tidings in mass. We don't. No, you don't find those type of people in there. So, getting back to the story, I've been watching wrestling, man, since I think 1985, 86 is when I first started watching wrestling. I've always been intrigued by it. I've always been, a lifelong fan. Well, actually now I'm not. The new product is out now. I really don't care for it. It's just there's no superstar. There's no that guy. There isn't that once. There isn't a Rock. There isn't a Stone Cold. There isn't a Hogan. There isn't a Warrior. There isn't a Sting. There isn't. There is none. There ain't none of those guys around right now. Or that type of draw, with that it factor. You just don't have it anymore. It's not there. But getting back into the story, this was in 1999. I was doing time in a dorm at this time, and there's a TV room. Usually it's in the front of the dorm, in front of the building, or in the back, or on the side, whatever, however the setup is. In this case, we had it towards the front door. A day room is a room. It's just like it's a room with benches, a whole bunch of benches, seating, so people can sit, and there's a TV. It's a TV room. So the way it works in prison is by race. Everything is by race. The politics are always racial. There's always that divide in prison. And as far as CDC, California, it's all race. Blacks, whites, Mexican, Hispanics, others. That's just how it is. So in prison, there's a calendar, and in the calendar, Monday is Mexicans, Tuesday is blacks, Wednesday is whites, Thursday is others, and then it rotates, and then it just keeps going. It keeps rotating, and that's just how it is. Another rule that we have in prison is that all sports are mandatory. So whether it's football, basketball, baseball, uh, the World Cup, the Olympics, all that stuff is mandatory. If it's being televised, it's gonna be watched, and there is no. That's just how it is in prison. All sports are mandatory. So when SmackDown started back then, it was on down here down south in Southern California. It was on UPN on Channel 13, and that's what SmackDown was coming on. And during this time, The Rock, Stone Cold, all those wrestlers were hot. So the guys decided that they were gonna make wrestling. They were gonna make it mandatory. So they were gonna put it in the category with the sports. But that's where the problem started, because there was some black guys who didn't like wrestling, didn't care for it, and they had an issue with it. They were saying the majority ruled. Everybody said, yeah, that's fine, we'll put it as a sport, so when it comes on, it's mandatory, we have to watch it. But there was some dudes that just weren't feeling that, and it was just black guys. And you gotta remember, man, something that I always say about prison is that if you're ever in a prison, and it's peaceful, is if you stop and you go, man, you know what, man? It's peaceful. There's nothing happening. Nothing has happened for a while. That is the time when something's about to jump off, because there's never peace. There's never peace. There's always tension. And if there's a peace goes on for a little too long, expect it to just pop off at any minute, That's just something that I've learned from doing time, That's just how it goes down. There was black guys that were there that did not want wrestling to be mandatory. They didn't want it. They didn't want it to be a sport in that sport category, and they were hating on that. So, me personally, I overheard some black guys talking about it. They're like, man, you know what? We're not feeling this. We need to do something. Let's get our people together. And they were able to get enough people on their side, to where they made it that if they were gonna jump, then the whole black car was gonna jump with them, So I felt the tension. We started feeling the tension. The first week that we passed that rule, it was tension. We got through it, and most of the guys thought that it was over, that was gonna be it, But I told them, I was like, look, man, these guys are not happy. These guys are pissed. They're making an issue. It's gonna go down, man. Just be on your toes. So, about 2 weeks later, the shit went down, man. It was like, I remember we went into the day room. We were gonna watch SmackDown. It was Friday night SmackDown. I remember it clearly, man. We went in there, and that's when the blacks went in there. And they were deep, man. It was like 10 of them. And they went up into the day room, and they went all the way up into the front. They went in front of the TV, and they turned it off. Boom. And they said, man, check this out. We're not having this, and it so happened that it fell on their day, on Black Day. So they were like, look, man, we're not going to watch this. And man, that's when the shit just hit the fan, man. I remember when one of the white dudes, one of the Woods, got up, and he said, man, you guys are gonna move. Look, I'm turning on the TV. We already went over this. So move. Let me turn this TV back on. So as he was walking, and they parted for him, he went through. As he hit the button, that's when boom, he got cracked from the side. Boom. And it was on, man. After that, I just remember, man, it was all bad, dude. I just remember seeing all the other blacks coming. So we jammed the door. We jammed the door on them so that they couldn't come in. Boom, we kicked the door, and as much as we could, until the other homies in the back of the dorm saw what was going on. The ones that were in there, we were just dealing with. Boom, 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 boom. Eventually, the blacks were able to come through, and it was just, it was bad. It was bad, The alarm went off COs came, man, and they just started whooping ass. You know, they just started spraying. They started spraying, batoning. It was all back after we had already gone, you know, at each other's throats. You know, it was bad. After we got off lockdown, I remember we went to the yard, and it was mandatory. Everybody had to go to the yard. So the whites and the Mexicans and the whites, we all got together, and they were like, they wanted to know what happened. You know, hey, you guys, what's up? What happened in there? So we let them know. You know, hey, it was over the TV. It was over Smackdown. So whatever. It didn't At this point. It didn't matter what it was over. It was decided right then and there that it was gonna pop off again, and that all the dorms on the yard, on the 2 yard, were supposed to. Everybody was supposed to get off, and sure enough, we did. So it went down. It happened again. We went off. I remember we went off on all the blacks, and it was. I mean, they weren't outnumbered, so it was pretty wild. You know, it was vicious. It was. I'd have to say that was probably the most vicious prison riot that I have been in. It was pretty brutal. And all of this over SmackDown, over wrestling, and you know, I can't stress that enough on people, man. It's just the life and the politics and every day in there. It's a different story. It's a different world. It's unlike anything you're facing out here, you know, because you're in close vicinity with all of these, for the most part, like society calls us hoodlums, you know, and all these crazy personalities, you know, all together. You know, it's like out here, if you don't like somebody, if you don't get along with somebody, you don't have to see that person. You can stay away from that person, and vice versa. That person can stay away from you. You know, in there, it's not like that. You're right there with everybody, and if you don't like somebody and he don't like you, it's like eventually something's got to give. You know, eventually it's gonna happen. So like I always say in my videos, man, you gotta know who you are and you gotta know where you stand before you want to take on that lifestyle, you know. And for those of us that go through it and make it and come out, you know, we understand, you know, and we some of us, not all of us, myself included, you know, I'm including myself in this. I appreciate my freedom. I appreciate, you know, what I got out here, you know. I may not have much, but I do have freedom, and I have peace of mind. And that's very important to me. And if that's important to you, you know what time it is, you know. Just do right, stay out of there, man. For anybody watching this that's been locked up and it's, you know, just gone through it, you know, you guys need to understand, man. You need to leave it alone, put it down, and get on with your lives, man. There's no future in it, you know. Anybody new that's going through it, stay away from it, man. It's all bad. It's all bad. With that, I'm out, man. Thank you for watching. You know, stay tuned for the next episodes.